Welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we are unpacking a massive breakthrough in how organizations handle, well, one of their absolute most terrifying IT challenges. We're digging into some really fascinating new research on AI-powered ETL automation for compliant data migration. So we're going to demystify exactly how artificial intelligence is completely revolutionizing complex data migration, literally turning a legal and technical nightmare into a super streamlined, automated process. Okay, let's dive into this. Just imagine if moving millions of highly sensitive financial or healthcare records across different cloud infrastructures was as easy as just dragging a file on your desktop. Sounds crazy, right? Anyone who works in tech knows that migrating databases is actually a lot like moving houses. It's exhausting, things always get broken, and it definitely takes twice as long as you planned. But with data, if you drop a box, you don't just lose a coffee mug. You risk a multi-million-dollar corporate lawsuit. Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the data migration nightmare. 2, we'll meet AutoETL C. 3, we'll break down how the AI engine works. 4, we'll test the framework. And finally, 5, we'll peek into the future of data ops. Let's get going. Part 1, the data migration nightmare. So the backbone of data migration is ETL, which stands for extract, transform, load. To go back to our moving houses analogy, ETL is the process of packing up your entire house, physically altering your furniture while it's in the moving truck so it perfectly fits a totally different floor plan, and then unpacking it. Traditionally, this takes endless manual schema mapping and hand-coded SQL scripts. It's incredibly tedious and, as you can imagine, highly prone to human error. And here is the real kicker. It's not just a technical challenge. It's a terrifying compliance minefield. You see, you aren't just moving data, you're moving personal information. A single mismapped column could trigger catastrophic legal fines under regulations like GDPR for European privacy, HIPAA and US healthcare, strict rules for cross-border data transfers, and those heavy NIST security standards. And you have to prove to auditors exactly how every single data point was handled during the move. No pressure, right? Section 2, meet AutoETL C. Enter our hero. AutoETL C isn't just another shiny software tool to add to the stack. It represents a fundamental paradigm shift in data engineering. Instead of just blindly piping data from point A to point B, AutoETL C actually uses artificial intelligence to understand the semantic meaning of the data, meaning it knows what the data actually is, not just where it's going, and it automatically protects it to meet those scary compliance standards while it's in transit. To put this in perspective, it's a real David versus Goliath contrast between the old and the new. These lumbering legacy manual methods are slow, frustrating, and have absolutely zero built-in compliance checking. It's just entirely up to the humans. But AutoETL C uses an AI component called LM Matcher. It uses domain-adapted language models to semantically map source and target schemas. It totally understands context, works incredibly fast, and actually uses active learning to get smarter the more it runs. Part 3. How the AI engine works. And this brilliantly illustrates the mechanics of the whole framework. Looking at the system architecture, you can see on the left how data is ingested from databases or event streams, flows right through the semantic mapping and policy-aware transformation modules, is continuously monitored for anomalies, and finally passes through a lineage and evidence service before arriving safely at the target. Breaking that complex diagram down into a logical flow, there are 4 main phases. First up, ingestion and profiling, where the system pulls the data and immediately scans for sensitive personal info. Second, semantic mapping, where the AI matches columns even if they have completely different names. Third, policy-aware transformation, where the data is reformatted to fit the new system while simultaneously applying legal rules. And fourth, lineage tracking, which records every single change for the auditors. I want to highlight this specific quote from the researchers because it's absolutely vital. The system works on enforcing data minimization and purpose limitation policies. Only relevant data is migrated, while sensitive fields are obfuscated or dropped. This shows exactly how AutoETL C practically eliminates privacy risks. If a target system doesn't strictly need a sensitive piece of data, the AI just drops it or encrypts it automatically. Problem solved. Section 4, testing the framework. To prove that this AI underdog crushes the traditional giants, the researchers created 3 highly rigorous, real-world synthetic environments. First, a banking scenario, moving from a core system to a lakehouse, which specifically tested cross-border data transfer laws. Second, a healthcare scenario, modernizing electronic health records, which heavily tested HIPAA data minimization. And third, A retail scenario, moving from an ERP to a warehouse, testing complex multilingual product mapping. Now, what's really interesting here is the massive drop in manual person hours. The top blue line represents traditional manual ETL, hitting 200 hours in the healthcare scenario alone. Now look at the bottom purple line, that is AutoETL C. It cuts the wall clock effort by more than half across every single industry scenario just by automating all that heavy lifting. And you know, this efficiency directly impacts data quality. This chart measures defect leakage, which is the percentage of incorrect or broken records that slip past the checks and actually make it into the new target system. Manual methods leak up to 12.3% of defects. AutoETL C, down on the bottom line, drastically reduces this, keeping defect leakage securely between 2 and 3%. It is just far, far more accurate. Then we have lineage completeness. Trust me, this metric is a compliance officer's best friend. It measures whether every single data element can be legally traced from its origin to its destination. AutoETL C, the top purple line here, achieves near 100% lineage completeness. Manual methods, they're hovering way down at 35 to 45%. So the AI essentially guarantees total auditability. So the crucial point is 100%. AutoETL C achieved 100% compliance evidence coverage across all 3 test scenarios. That means it automatically generated the required GDPR data maps, cross-border transfer logs, and HIPAA control matrices without any human intervention. In comparison, manual ETL achieved exactly 0% in the banking scenario. It is an absolute, undeniable knockout for the AI. Part 5. The future of data ops. The core takeaway from this explainer is that augmented, privacy-aware data engineering is no longer just a luxury. The future of data engineering is absolutely compliance-first and AI-driven. Relying on humans to manually map databases and double-check legal boxes, that's becoming completely obsolete. The research also points out what's coming next for these frameworks. We're looking at optimizing for real-time event stream processing. We'll see fully automated generation of complex legal documents for cross-border transfers. There will be integration of even more global laws like California's CCPA, and even risk-based compliance scoring that will automatically flag highly sensitive data for human review. It's just going to get faster and smarter. And that leaves us with one incredibly exciting question to close on. As AI fully automates the heavy lifting of schema mapping, data transformation, and compliance auditing, what will a newly unburdened workforce of brilliant data engineers build next? When they aren't stuck packing and moving boxes, the possibilities are literally endless. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.